that this is the end of the Diddy story as we know it.
So I don't give them no energy. I give haters no energy. Steve ain't this. He think he this. You don't even know.
Everyone is talking about it right now. The shocking arrest of Sean Diddy Combs and the unbelievable fallout that appears to be pulling some of the biggest names in the entertainment industry into the spotlight with him. But one name in particular has left people stunned. Steve Harvey. Yes, the same Steve Harvey known for family-friendly shows like Family Feud and decades of success as a comedian and talk show host. The same figure who has carefully built a clean, respectable, almost fatherly public image. Yet behind that polished persona, questions are now being raised about whether there may be a far darker side that few ever expected.
Clearly, there is a criminal investigation underway, and that they believe that there would be evidence of crimes in one or both of these homes.
The bombshell news hit like a ton of bricks when Diddy was arrested in Manhattan. Federal agents took him into custody on charges that sounded as if they were pulled straight from a crime thriller. Racketeering, conspiracy, exploitation, and more, sending shockwaves through the industry and leaving many stunned by the scale of the allegations.
And Stacey, you say today's indictment reads like a mob indictment. What was most shocking to you of all these allegations?
Yeah, the fact, Jake, that the government in this indictment presented evidence alleging that Sean Combs was running a criminal...
This was massive. Diddy's business empire had stretched across music, fashion, television, and nightlife for decades. But the arrest shattered the image of the mogul everyone thought they knew. As more details emerged, whispers began to circulate, and people started asking how many others might be tangled up in the fallout. Then the internet exploded with a new rumor. That Steve Harvey, the beloved comedian and TV host, had left the country on the very same day Diddy was taken into custody. To many, it didn't feel like a coincidence at all.
Had clients describe NBC as hell, as the worst conditions they...
The fact that Steve Harvey reportedly left the United States just as Diddy was taken into custody has triggered a wave of speculation. Some are asking whether Steve sensed the pressure closing in on him as well. As the days pass, more people seem to be drawing that conclusion. It's widely known that Steve attended several of Diddy's infamous parties over the years. Those lavish, star-studded events long viewed as symbols of elite status in the entertainment industry. But as more details have come to light, those gatherings appear to have involved more than just glamour and celebration. Claims of darker behavior behind the scenes have cast a shadow over everyone associated with them, and Steve's connection to that world is now raising serious questions.
The housing unit is a 24-hour lockdown unit, which means that any movement within that unit is controlled and coordinated, and no inmate moves outside of his cell without being in full restraints, to include leg irons, handcuffs, a belly chain, and at least 2, if not 3 staff members escort.
Let's rewind and talk about the legendary parties Diddy was known for. To the outside world, they looked like the ultimate social events. Celebrities from music, film, sports, and even politics all mingling together, while Diddy solidified his image as the industry's most powerful host. But as time went on, rumors began to surface about what allegedly happened behind closed doors. Stories that hinted at far more troubling behavior. Recent allegations and arrests have led many to believe these were not just harmless social gatherings. According to people now coming forward, Diddy's parties were allegedly environments where questionable and even illegal activities may have taken place. As a result, scrutiny has widened beyond Diddy himself, placing every high-profile guest, including Steve Harvey, under suspicion. Some claims circulating online are extremely serious and sensational, including allegations that Diddy had cameras installed throughout his home. Rumors suggest Steve was not merely an occasional attendee but a regular presence during some of the wildest nights within Diddy's inner circle. Sources claiming proximity to the investigation say there are witnesses who allege they saw Steve involved in behavior that went beyond awkward or embarrassing and crossed into potentially unlawful territory. These accounts are being framed as first-hand observations from people who say they attended the same events, though all such claims remain allegations and have not been proven in court.
with very, very serious and salacious allegations, including allegations that Combs had cameras throughout his.
Now this is where the story begins to peel back the layers of Steve Harvey's carefully crafted public image. For years, he has presented himself as the ultimate family man, a devoted husband and father, someone offering guidance to millions on how to live a respectable, moral life. His best-selling book, Act Like a Lady, Think Like a Man, cemented his reputation as a voice of wisdom in the often chaotic world of relationships. But what if that image was only part of the story? What if it was a front? Some now question whether, behind the scenes, Steve Harvey was living a very different life, one that allegedly included frequenting events that were far removed from the wholesome persona he showed the world.
Diddy was running some kind of Epstein-type deal where he was filming everybody, right?
That's the rumors, yeah. I don't know that there's any proof or anything other than that.
Of course, Steve has built an empire on charm, wit, and a larger-than-life personality. He's been the face of countless television projects, from talk shows to game shows, and is widely admired for his straightforward, no-nonsense outlook on life. But these emerging claims and rumors have caused some to question that image. For many, the suggestion that Steve may have been present at, or even aware of, allegedly troubling behavior linked to Diddy's parties is difficult to process. It has sparked debate and disbelief, raising uncomfortable questions about whether a man who has dispensed life advice for decades could have been keeping parts of his private world hidden. At this stage, these remain allegations and speculation, but they are enough to leave the public wondering.
All right, I got to take some time to address this.
The fact that Steve reportedly left the country just as Diddy was being arrested has fueled intense speculation. Many are asking why someone would leave the US at that exact moment if they had nothing to hide. Taking a spontaneous vacation is one thing, but departing the country right as a close associate becomes the center of a massive scandal strikes many as unusual. For critics, it raises questions about timing and intent. Some suggest fear could be the motivation. Fear that authorities might begin looking more closely at everyone connected to the situation. At this point, it remains speculation, but the coincidence has been enough to keep people talking and wondering whether Steve believed the spotlight could soon turn toward him.
Evidence that's been gathered in this case was from those two raids that were conducted on his personal homes in Miami and Los Angeles, and the indictment names the things seized that he allegedly made videos of these performances that have been named freak off.
What many find even more unsettling is that the scrutiny isn't limited to Steve's alleged presence at these parties. There are whispers, described by some outlets as coming from sources close to the investigation, that suggest he may not have been merely a passive observer. According to these unverified claims, investigators have been collecting information for years and have spoken with individuals who say they witnessed troubling behavior at these events. If such allegations were ever substantiated, they could have devastating consequences for Steve's reputation and career, along with serious legal implications. It's important to note, however, that these claims remain allegations, and no wrongdoing has been proven.
To be in jail in this facility until the trial begins? Is there a chance he could, get moved earlier than that?
As of this moment, as of this hour, as of today, yes. But of course, as I mentioned earlier, they're going to be appealing this thing next to the Second U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals to overturn the judge's order here to try and get him.
What many find even more unsettling is that the scrutiny isn't limited to Steve's alleged presence at these parties. There are whispers, described by some outlets as coming from sources close to the investigation, that suggest he may not have been merely a passive observer. According to these unverified claims, investigators have been collecting information for years and have spoken with individuals who say they witnessed troubling behavior at these events. If such allegations were ever substantiated, they could have devastating consequences for Steve's reputation and career, along with serious legal implications. It's important to note, however, that these claims remain allegations, and no wrongdoing has been proven.
Why doesn't the government want him to turn himself in? Because then they can't ask for detention. So they go and they arrest him. They arrest a guy who came to New York to turn himself.
What makes this situation even more shocking is the stark contrast between Steve's squeaky clean public image and the allegations now surrounding him. This is a man who built his entire brand on being relatable, trustworthy, and grounded, offering down-to-earth wisdom that resonated with millions. He's the last person most people would ever expect to be linked to something like this. Yet, as more details and allegations emerge about what reportedly took place at Diddy's parties, it's leading many to believe that anyone who was regularly present in those circles could now find themselves under suspicion.
I posted yesterday all over our social media pages. Cassie filed a lawsuit in New York City against Diddy.
Yikes.
She's claiming she was stuck in a decade-long cycle of abuse.
And let's not overlook how Steve's long-standing relationship with Diddy only adds fuel to the speculation. Over the years, the two have been photographed together at numerous high-profile events, often exchanging public praise and admiration. Steve has spoken positively about Diddy's entrepreneurial drive and even cited him as an inspiration. But now, with Diddy behind bars and facing serious allegations, that once celebrated association is being viewed through a very different lens. What once looked like mutual respect between industry peers is now, for many observers, starting to appear far more questionable.
Every aspect of her life. He is accused of frequently beating her and would hide her in hotel rooms for days until the bruising and signs of abuse were.
The real question on everyone's mind is this: what, if anything, does Steve have to hide? Is it possible he was simply a guest at these gatherings, unaware of what may have been happening behind the scenes? Or, as rumors claim, was he more deeply involved? The truth remains unclear. Still, as more allegations and reports circulate, some say it's becoming harder to dismiss the speculation outright. What's known is that federal investigators have reportedly been examining Diddy's broader network for years, which naturally places scrutiny on those who were closely associated with him. Given Steve's long-standing friendship with Diddy and their many public appearances together, his name has inevitably entered the conversation. If any of these claims were ever substantiated, the consequences could extend far beyond reputational damage. But for now, they remain unproven allegations, and no charges have been brought against him.
And in this lawsuit, he claims that essentially...
As the investigation moves forward, one thing is certain. The truth about Steve Harvey's connection to this scandal will eventually surface. Whether or not he is guilty of any wrongdoing, the mere fact that his name is being linked to such serious allegations has already taken a toll on his reputation. And the longer he remains silent, the more questions people will continue to ask about what he may or may not be trying to hide.
And I remember, I don't know if you know what his voice sounds like, but I felt like I was in the presence of his monster.
With Steve Harvey's name now circulating amid rumors and suspicion, it's becoming clear that this isn't just a one-off scandal centered on Diddy alone. Instead, it appears to be part of a much larger web involving high-profile figures who are scrambling to distance themselves from what's shaping up to be one of the most dramatic falls from grace in celebrity history. The moment Diddy's arrest made headlines, it was as if an alarm had been triggered, prompting sudden shifts among those in his inner circle. People began making quiet exits, cutting ties, and laying low in an apparent effort to avoid being pulled into an expanding legal and public relations storm. While Steve Harvey may be one of the most talked about names right now, he's far from the only one. Rumors continue to suggest that several other celebrities who were frequent guests at Diddy's notorious parties have also retreated from public view, hoping to stay out of the spotlight as the situation unfolds.
Issue is, it seems as though he wants to kind of exert power and dominance over people who don't really want.
We're talking about some of the most recognizable faces in Hollywood, music, and even sports. These aren't just distant associates or casual business partners of Diddy. They're individuals who were allegedly deeply embedded in the scene, enjoying the wild lifestyle he was known for. Now, as investigators continue digging into the allegations against him, many of those same celebrities are reportedly doing everything possible to avoid becoming the next headline. The FBI is said to be reviewing vast amounts of material, from phone records to witness accounts, and according to insiders, the outlook isn't favorable for people closely tied to Diddy's inner circle. Several names that have surfaced belong to figures long considered squeaky clean, much like Steve Harvey. But just as with Steve, these celebrities were reportedly frequent attendees at Diddy's exclusive gatherings, and the allegations suggest they may not have been there merely for champagne and casual conversation. Some sources claim their involvement went deeper, extending into questionable dealings that allegedly took place behind closed doors.
stand-up comedian, entertainer, television host, family man. But most importantly, I happen to be a man.
You might be wondering who else could be drawn into this widening controversy. One name that keeps resurfacing is Cuba Gooding Jr. While he has faced controversies in the past, his alleged connection to Diddy is now receiving renewed scrutiny. According to claims made by Rodney Lil Rod Jones, Cuba was introduced to him through Diddy's inner circle at one of these exclusive gatherings. In a lawsuit filed by Jones, he alleges that Cuba was not merely an observer, but took part in inappropriate behavior at these events. These claims, which remain allegations and have not been proven in court, have nonetheless intensified attention on Cuba and raised the possibility of serious legal consequences if they were ever substantiated.
To the allegations.
And it doesn't stop there. Another name being pulled into the conversation is Prince Harry. Before jumping to conclusions, it's important to be clear. There is no allegation that Prince Harry was involved in any wrongdoing. His name has surfaced only because he was reportedly present at one of Diddy's events years ago, tied to a charity function. Diddy's social reach extended far beyond entertainment, touching royalty, politicians, and global elites, which explains how such names can overlap. Still, the mere mention of Prince Harry in this broader context has raised eyebrows and highlights just how wide this scandal's ripple effects could be. Then there's Young Miami, the rapper and one of Diddy's former romantic partners. She has previously spoken openly about their relationship, but now her name is appearing in a different light. Rumors circulating online suggest she may have been involved in transporting certain items across state lines for Diddy, claims that are currently unproven and under scrutiny. Whether these rumors carry any truth remains to be seen, but what's clear is that anyone with a close connection to Diddy is now facing heightened attention. And with each passing day, more names continue to surface as investigators and the public dig deeper.
I think in federal court and for these charges, they would say it's routine, but in the public realm, this is very significant just from who we associate Diddy being and everything we've seen him do over the decades. Like you said, this is quite the downfall to go from, I mean, we saw the mansions back in March that were raided by the feds. So to go from living in those mansions to being...
The real tragedy here is that many of the people involved likely believed they were untouchable for years. Diddy was long viewed as one of the most powerful and successful figures in music and business. Someone who could open doors, create opportunities, and make dreams come true. Now, however, his empire appears to be crumbling, and anyone closely associated with him is being pulled down in the fallout. The collapse has been swift and unforgiving, and it continues to worsen with each passing day. Diddy's current situation is a stark example of this downfall. He has reportedly been denied bail, leaving him behind bars as he awaits trial. Media reports describe conditions that are worlds apart from the lavish lifestyle he once enjoyed, with strict rules and minimal comforts that must be a shocking adjustment for someone accustomed to decades of luxury. The charges he faces are extremely serious, so serious that, if convicted, he could spend the rest of his life in prison. This isn't a minor legal setback or a financial penalty. It's the kind of case that could permanently end his career and redefine his legacy forever.
If he really was filming everybody, I mean, he had a lot of people at those parties, right?
What's even more incredible is how quickly Diddy's empire is unraveling. Partnerships with major companies are falling apart one after another. Just months ago, he was the face of powerful brands like Revolt and Ciroc, and now those relationships are in ruins. Even Hulu, which was reportedly developing a reality show centered on the Combs family, has pulled the plug. It seems no one wants to be associated with him anymore, and given the severity of the allegations, it's not hard to understand why. The fallout is also hitting close to home, affecting Diddy's family in a major way. His sons, once seen as rising stars in their own right, are now being dragged into the scandal. Christian King Combs, in particular, is reportedly facing his own legal issues tied to accusations that surfaced after his father's arrest, with claims of questionable behavior at those infamous parties. As a result, he now has his own legal battles to contend with. It feels as though the entire Combs family is being pulled into a vortex of controversy, with no clear escape in sight. The speed of this collapse has been breathtaking. Only recently Diddy was riding high, celebrating a musical comeback with the Love album. Off the grid, but that moment has been completely overshadowed by the sheer weight of the allegations against him. As more details continue to emerge, the scandal only seems to grow darker, making it increasingly difficult to imagine a path forward from here.
Is going to mandate that they are responsible for your well-being. They have to ensure the safety of.
What's particularly fascinating about all of this is just how fast public perception has shifted. For years, people idolized Diddy and the stars in his orbit, viewing them as untouchable, larger-than-life figures who seemed incapable of wrongdoing. Now, as these allegations surface, that illusion is cracking, and people are beginning to question everything they thought they knew. How much did we really understand about these celebrities? How much of their public image was carefully constructed to conceal what may have been happening behind the scenes? Hollywood has always blurred the line between public persona and private reality, but this scandal is forcing many to confront just how deep that deception can run, and how easily it can fool millions.
Apologize to Cassie in that video. He should have apologized to all of the general public that he lied.
As we wait for more details to emerge, one thing is clear. This is only the beginning. The investigation into Diddy's activities is far from over, and there's no telling how many more names could be pulled into this growing scandal. For now, the spotlight remains firmly on Steve Harvey and other celebrities who appear to be distancing themselves from what many see as a sinking ship. The big question is whether they'll manage to walk away unscathed or if they'll be the next to face serious legal consequences. What do you think will happen next? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe for more updates, and we'll catch you in the next video.